Flight Crew. We would like to welcome you to Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yeah. Oh man. It feels good to be back in the new year. Yeah, I have so much confidence for this year and it's just like I think I'm prepared to be uncomfortable to get a lot of the things that I want this year. Um yeah, I felt like I have a good friend that always told me this and when somebody gives you a lesson on life and you just never really apply it to your life until something clicks like that, right? Yeah, like it just clicked for me. Like my homie James always told me, never tell yourself no before they tell you no. And this year that resonates with me so deeply because I just feel like, so many years of my life, like, building this creative theory in my head about the stories I want to tell, how I want people to feel, and how much of those stories I pull a large chunk of my life and put them into. And I feel like this year I'm gonna like make myself uncomfortable. I got this feeling after going to Utah. Yeah. Another trip. I know, like, oh man, I got so much to be thankful for because being able to travel this much has been a blessing. It was something that I always wanted to do. And then, once again, like, it's the same story. Like, having the right person in your life just will inspire you to get up off your ass, and not making excuses for yourself. And this one goes a little deeper because we were in Park City, Utah. Once a year, this festival brings people from all around the world, and you just literally, like, if you love to watch movies, this is the time to go because, like, you literally get to see films before they're ever even bought by studios. Some of them come in bought by studios, but some of them aren't. Like, we seen Luther last year, and Luther to me is the best music documentary I ever seen. And watching that documentary, it took them so long to get bought, So sometimes you may get bought, sometimes you don't. And sometimes later down the line, somebody will truly see the value in what you brought forward to the world. So these films that I was able to see this year just was like extremely moving, And last year we went and we wanted to make it a tradition every year to just go and witness people who like said they don't care either and they're gonna go for what they want and they're gonna get their stories told. And you see these beautiful, beautiful films. And I was watching them and I asked myself, like, what's the difference between you and them, right? Like, they're just people that didn't tell themselves no. And I wanted to be that person that told myself I'm not gonna say no anymore. Oh, you never been to Sundance? Sundance is this beautiful festival that brings filmmakers together, where filmmakers from all around the world submit their films to this highly prestigious film festival that was founded by Robert Redford. I've always known about Sundance, and I've even been offered a few times to go, but it was one of those things where I was so conditioned into telling myself no. Not until last year I told myself yes.
There you go.
Ooh. Josh, you're nuts.
we never did that.
Is 100% the most vibrant and dazzling film in the entire program. You're about to go on a wonderful voyage, everyone.
This year, I was fortunate enough to go and see 8 films. And going to see these films, there were so many different perspectives of life being told, and I was so happy to see these people win, you know, like not just like win the festival, but literally win in the fact that they was able to screen their films at this prestigious film festival. My favorite films, I think I love almost all of them. Top 3. Ooh, that's tough. This director, Rashad Fred, who actually won the directorial award, he made a film called Ricky, which like resonated with me so much. Like when you have young siblings or people that were close to you that was incarcerated, and how like their unfortunate events of recidivism is real, you know, and like all of the struggles of like trying to find a perfect balance in life to get back on your feet, but like when the streets got you, they got you, you know, and like what are the lessons that we learn from these events, you know? Like I thank God every day that I never spent extended time in a prison. I have been arrested before. It's sort of like a thing that happens in New York when you're a black kid, you know. Police always will find a way to mess with you, put you in the system. And I was wrongfully accused of something very, very, very dramatic that like still kind of haunts me in this time. But I had the right people in my life. So, you know, the system couldn't swallow me whole, you know, so I was able to get out of that. And yeah, that was rough. But watching this film just brought me back to like being a shorty in East New York. Like you see your friends, just like what happens to them when they go to jail with grown men at a young age, you know, and what that does to their psyche. And most of them, they're just broken forever because of that. You don't really know what they witness, they never share. And, you know, you just hope that like through their faith in God that they get found and find peace again in their lives. My second film, see man, it's tough, man. How you gonna make me like pick only 3? Andre Holland was starting this film named Love Brooklyn. And the coolest thing about this story is like being a Brooklynite, like you get to put yourself in his shoes, especially when it comes to like dating and the struggles and the decisions you have to make when you're like dating. And you know, none of us are perfect. I've made tons of mistakes, you know, and I've learned to, you know, not in a dramatic fashion, but I've learned to like forgive myself, you know, like because I think there's a lot of pressure when you're dating, right? Like a lot of people, they invest themselves so much in what you're building with somebody. So when you do come to the decision that it doesn't work or however it may have ended, you feel this sense of guilt, you know, because everyone was so invested. They love to see you guys. But I think what they are more fascinated with is the newness of love. Like if you ever watch like married couples and you're the single friend and you come around with somebody new, like they kind of like live in your shoes a little bit, because like everybody loves that feeling of exploring someone new, learning someone new, loving someone new. And with all of their things that they got going on in their lives, you get to like see that and live in it and like wish you could like make decisions for them. But you know, I think the newness of love is like, it's the most addicting thing, you know? But Love Brooklyn was number 2 for me. Like number 1, without a doubt, it didn't win, which I find so strange, you know. But there was this film named All That's Left of You, this film about this generational trauma that exists in this Palestinian family, and they track all the way back to the 40s, where you see the contrast, where it was like this beautiful land, you know, Palestine, like it was this beautiful place, people grew crops, and they kind of like give you the perspective of this family that existed and struggled and found peace with all of the events that happened to them through generations. So it's like the grandfather, then the father, and then the grandson. And what was so beautiful about it was how you watch this tenderness between the generations. No matter what was happening during that time, these men still poured love into their children, you know? And even when people fall short, you know, they never stopped loving their children. And I love that about it, you know? In some way, like, you kind of wish, like, you know, pieces of your life was like that. But it also showed you, like, there's no excuse why you can't be tender to your kids. Like, these folks were suffering, man. And, you know, the Israeli occupation of the West Bank was just, it was just horrible to see, man. Like, and I think it's a conversation that we all have to start having, you know? Like, I feel like sometimes what people tend to hold on to is that people think like, oh, they kidnapped these people, they all deserve to die. And I think like people are missing a whole portion of this, where it's like, you know, these people gave refuge to a group of people, and then colonialism and white imperialism basically helped them gain land in this place where people had already lived, you know, for hundreds of years. And I do believe there was a diplomatic version of this that could have been handled. And I also want to, like, you know, just open up the world for people to see, like, yo, being Jewish does not make you a Zionist, where you are a violent Zionist. Like, it doesn't, like, there are Jewish people who exist in Israel who do not agree with what's happening, you know? And I want people to, like, and I think this is what I miss about being a shorty from New York, is like, people always found time to have disclosure on things to where we see our human side. And I think that lacks so much because of people just being shut out, and social media being this rabbit hole and this echo chamber where you never hear the voice comes back. You never hear like a different voice come back. It's like all the people are saying the same thing. And if you control the media, then it's only one portion of the story. And I feel like people have to start grasping the reality of what's happening. Like, there are children, there are people dying, you know? And they're like, and I feel like Netanyahu put some rhetoric out there that, you know, if you're Jewish, you have to support us in this, we have to take our land back. And there's so many people who are pushing back, you know? But once again, I am not a socio-political person. I read a lot, I follow a lot of things outside of our normal media outlets. And one of the things that I do find time to try to get a grasp of is the real firsthand accounts of what's happening in our world, not just with Israel, Palestine, but what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in the Congo, what's happening in Haiti, shoot, what's happening with us as African Americans, you know? You know, it breaks my heart, you know, just how people just don't want to, not pick a side, but people don't want to put the work in to do what's right because they're scared of being ridiculed or losing something. And I feel like if we put ourselves out there and tell the masses what's right or wrong to us, then we can create a dialogue. And I feel like through communication, we could heal so much, you know? Yeah, it's very unfortunate, man. This film was definitely, everyone in there was snots and boogers, and there were people of every ethnicity. There were Jewish people, there were Palestinian people, there were people who were Muslims, there were Christians. We were in there. There were all groups of people just present to just witness this storytelling, and we end up pulling so much more from it, you know? And it was a tough thing to watch. I pray that this film gets picked up, because I think our political leaders have gone beyond trying to have this dialogue, so the people will never be educated truly on what's happening. And I always feel like filmmaking is one of those things that get people to break the political hold, to break what the media tells us, and to actually have real, genuine conversations with people through these films, because it leaves us with things that may not be clear to us, and we want to have more conversations. And yeah, all the things was just, yeah, man, it was, yeah, I get emotional thinking about it. It was one of those films, man. Yeah, can we talk about something else? Yeah, I don't want to really talk about this anymore. Okay, we could talk about that. I learned so much, and I think just watching these films, I learned a lot about myself. Like, once again, like, I think this year I'm not gonna tell myself no. I have shorts that I want to put out into the world. I have things I want to do, like I have a hot sauce line, and all of these things just lead back to like watching these people who are everyday people get an opportunity to make a film and have it financed, have it produced, have it distributed, you know, like it just lets you know like you can do it too. Like there isn't a conspiracy to stop you from getting it. Yes, there will be obstacles and hurdles, but one of the things I learned from Spike is like if you go into the comfort of your community, anything can happen. And I believe that this is one of those things where people can find a way to get their stories told, and that's gonna be me. I'm gonna tell beautiful stories this year. I'm not gonna allow anything to stop me from making it, and because I feel like all of these things have to be told, whether they're the short 5-minute film or 20-minute short, but like I have to tell these stories, you know, like look at Ricky. Ricky started as a short, and it was a concept that people got behind, funded it, produced it, distributed it. Anything is possible.